Hello and welcome to another episode of today's GK. I am Pooja Divedi, and in this segment we bring to you objective questions on a daily basis to help you crack prelims. So let's begin with the practice question of last segment. He was born into a family that belonged to the Ezhava caste and led a reform movement against the injustice in the caste-ridden society of Kerala in order to promote spiritual enlightenment and social equality. He also involved himself with the Viacom Satyagraha and Sri Narayan Dharma Paripalana Yogam and extended much cooperation. Which of the following personalities is discussed in the above passage? Sri Narayan Guru, Dayanand Saraswati, Jyotiba Phule, or none of the above? The correct answer to this question is A, that is Sri Narayan Guru. Moving on to the explanation, Narayan Guru was a philosopher, spiritual leader, and social reformer in India. Now he lived at an era when he entirely overhauled the social fabric of Kerala. At that point of time, it was unimaginable. If we talk about the phase he lived from, it was from 1855 to 1928, right? Moving on, he was born into a family that belonged to the Ezhava caste. He led a reform movement against the injustice in the caste-ridden society of Kerala in order to promote spiritual enlightenment and social equality as well. Sri Narayan Dharma Paripalana Yogam, also known as SNDP Yogam, is an Indian spiritual organization that was formally founded by Dr. Padmanabhan Palpu in 1903 with the guidance of Sri Narayan Guru. The main aim of SNDP Yogam was to spiritually uplift the people of the Ezhava Tiyar communities. Viacom Satyagraha, if we talk about, it was a social protest in erstwhile Travancore against untouchability and caste discrimination in the Hindu society of Kerala. Sri Narayan Guru involved himself with the Viacom Satyagraha and extended much cooperation. He published 45 works in Malayalam, Sanskrit and Tamil languages, which include Atmapadesh Satakam, a 100-verse spiritual poem, and Deva Dasikam, a universal prayer in 10 verses. So many times we just read something that is in caps lock or is in bold letters and we forget about what is stored in our subconscious mind. So you have to be very careful with prelims because when we talk about the trend of prelims, they ask something that we think is secondary in nature. So here, you may remember this, but you also have to remember the second one, Deva Dasikam, like that. Alright, moving on. Let's look at the first question. In which of the following state rat hole mining is practiced? Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, Odisha, Meghalaya. So the correct answer for this question is D, that is Meghalaya. In Meghalaya, rat hole mining is the locally developed technique and the most commonly used one as well. Rat hole mining involves digging of very small tunnels, usually only 3 to 4 feet high. Now there, workers enter and then extract coals. So because of this practice of rat hole mining, many problems have occurred. The collapse of the mines as well as the death of miners or children who are actually sizable enough to go into the rat hole mining practice, they have suffered a lot. Now here, Meghalaya, if we talk about Meghalaya, then the National Green Tribunal had actually banned the rat hole mining in the year 2014. But the problem there is that this is the only economically viable option that is available for coal mining in areas in places such as Meghalaya. Also, since the coal seam is extremely thin in Meghalaya, no other method would be economically viable. Now, if we talk about the impacts of it, the water resources of many rivers, especially in the Jaintia Hills district, have turned acidic. The water also has high concentration of sulfates, iron and toxic heavy metals, low dissolved oxygen as well, and high BOD, showing its degraded quality. Now, because of the practice of rat hole mining that is so unscientific in nature, and it is also having such consequences that wouldn't have occurred if it were scientific in nature. That is the reason so many toxics, so many intoxicants, so many problems have occurred. So this is the reason NGT and the government is also trying to phase out rat hole mining. But this is a problem which is very insurmountable right now. Moving on to our next question, which of the following is our source of particulate matter? Construction sites, unpaved roads, smokestacks. You have to select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. The correct answer to this question is D, that is 1, 2 and 3. If we talk about particulate matter, also called particle pollution, it is a term for a mixture of solid particles and liquid droplets found in the air. Now, in the prelims exam, it may be given that it is just solid particles. No, it is also liquid droplets. You have to be very careful with this. It includes particulate matter 10, which is inhalable particles with diameters that are generally 10 micrometers and smaller, and particulate matter 2.5, fine inhalable particles with diameters that are generally 2.5 micrometers and smaller. If we talk about the sources of particulate matter, some are emitted directly from a source such as construction sites, unpaved roads, fields, smokestacks or fires. If we talk about its harmful effects, particle pollution exposure has been linked to a variety of problems including irregular heartbeat, aggravated asthma, decreased lung function and increased respiratory system as well. So in areas which are developing in nature like Delhi NCR or such areas which have been satellite cities, there because of construction and because of the occurrence of unpaved roads and many other reasons, respiratory and lung diseases are prevalent in nature. Moving on, let's talk about the next question, which says, with reference to inflation, consider the following statements. It is indicative of an increase in the purchasing power of a country's currency. It measures the average price change in a basket of commodities and services over time. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is B, that is 2 only. Moving on to the explanation. Inflation refers to the rise in the prices of most goods and services, or that is daily of common use, and such as foods, clothing, housing, recreation, transport, consumer staples. Now, inflation measures the average price changes in a basket of commodities and services over time. Inflation is indicative of the decrease in the purchasing power of a unit of currency of a country. This could ultimately lead to a acceleration in economic growth. So if we talk about inflation generally, mild inflation needs to occur in order to show that yes, demand is rising and supply is trying to match the demand. That is why the prices have increased. So that mild inflation is really good for an economy. And if we talk about what does inflation do to a particular country's currency, it reduces its purchasing power, right? Moving on, let's talk about it. However, a moderate level of inflation, as talked, that it's there to ensure that production is promoted, because then only investments will take place. In India, the NSO under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, it measures inflation. In India, inflation is primarily measured by two main indices, that is WPI or Wholesale Price Index and CPI, that is Consumer Price Index, which measures wholesale and retail level price changes respectively. Moving on to our next question. With reference to green tax, consider the following statements. It includes 10 to 25% of road tax on transport vehicles older than 8 years at the time of renewal of fitness certificate. Personal vehicles will be charged a tax at the time of renewal of registration certificate after 15 years. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is C, that is both 1 and 2. Personal vehicles will be charged a tax at the time of renewal of registration certificate after 15 years. The policy will come into effect from April 1st, 2022. The levy may differ depending on fuel, petrol or diesel and the type of vehicle. The proposal will now go to the states for consultation before it is formally notified. It includes 10 to 25% of road tax on transport vehicles older than 8 years at the time of renewal of fitness certificate. The proposal on green tax also includes a steeper penalty of up to 50% of road tax for older vehicles registered in some of the highly polluted cities in the country. Revenue collected from this tax will be kept in a separate account and will be used for tackling pollution and for states to set up the state-of-art facilities for emission monitoring. Why do we even need such a move? To dissuade people from using vehicles that damage the environment? To motivate people to switch to new, lesser polluting vehicles. Green tax will reduce the pollution level and make the polluter pay for pollution, of course. Moving on to our next question, which of the following countries border Italy? Austria, France, Slovenia, Russia. Select the correct answer using code given below. 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3 only, 1, 2, 3 and 4 only. So, the correct answer for this question is C. That is 1, 2 and 3 only. Austria, France and Slovenia border Italy. Moving on to the explanation. Recently, Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte resigned in the hope of forming a new government after weeks of turmoil in his ruling coalition, leaving Italy rudderless as it battles the deadly coronavirus pandemic. Italy is a country located in southern Europe, comprising the boot-shaped Italian peninsula and a number of islands including Sicily and Sardinia. Neighboring countries include Austria, France, Slovenia and Switzerland. Italy has a strategic location dominating the central Mediterranean as well as proximity to Western Europe across the Adriatic Sea. And now, as you can see the map, you can see how well covered Italy is, right? Moving on. Let's look at the next question, please. Consider the following statements. The term budget has nowhere been used in the Constitution. The budget contains estimates of revenue and capital receipts and estimates of expenditure. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer for this question is C, that is both 1 and 2. The Constitution refers to the budget as the annual financial statement. In other words, the term budget has nowhere been used in the Constitution. It is the popular name for the annual financial statement that has been dealt with in Article 112 of the Constitution. The budget is a statement of the estimated receipts and expenditure of the Government of India in a financial year, which begins on 1st April and ends on 31st of March of the following year. Overall, the budget contains the following estimates of revenue and capital receipts, ways and means to raise the revenue, and estimates of expenditure. So if we talk about the year 2017, the budget had started to be presented from 1st of Feb. Alright, moving on. Let's look at the next question. Consider the following statements with reference to recently detected avian influenza. Influenza A viruses are divided into subtypes on the basis of 2 proteins on the surface of the virus. Not all known subtypes of influenza A viruses can infect birds. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer to this question is C, that is both 1 and 2. So, influenza A viruses are divided into subtypes on the basis of 2 proteins on the surface of the virus: hemagglutinin HA, neuraminidase NA. There are 18 known HA subtypes and 11 known NA subtypes. Many different combinations of HA and NA proteins are also possible. For example, an H7N2 virus designates an influenza A virus subtype that has an HA7 protein and an NA2 protein. Similarly, an H5N1 virus has a HA5 protein and an NA1 protein. All known subtypes of influenza A viruses can infect birds except subtypes H17N10 and H18N11, which have only been found in bats. Moving on, only 2 influenza A virus subtypes are currently in general circulation amongst the people. Some subtypes are found in other infected animal species. For example, H7N7 and H3N8 virus infections can cause illness in horses and H3N8 virus infection causes illness in horses and dogs. So if we talk about the general zoonotic diseases are those diseases which can jump from one species to human, species of an animal to human. Now, why do we find such diseases so infectious in nature? Because our body doesn't have the proper defense mechanism against a foreign pathogen which does not prevail in the human species. That is the general reason why we cannot easily fight a pathogen that is zoonotic in nature, right? So that is why we need to be very careful in restoring and preserving the wildlife, because as the chain between one species and the second species gets smaller, because humans are actually intruding into the wildlife, they are getting faster and quickly very close to the other species. That is why it is very easy for pathogens of zoonotic disease from jump quickly to humans, which are generally kept in check by the various other species of the wildlife. Alright, moving on. Let's move on to our next question. Consider the following pairs. Z-shaped recovery. It is the most optimistic scenario in which the economy quickly rises after an economic crash. And U-shaped recovery is a scenario in which the economy, after falling, struggles around at a low growth rate for some time. Now, after that, it rises gradually to usual level. And then what happens if we talk about W-shaped recovery? It is the next best scenario after Z-shaped recovery, in which the economy quickly recoups lost ground and gets back to the normal growth trend line. Which of the pairs given above is or are correct? 1 and 2 only, 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. So the correct answer to this question is A, 1 and 2 only. So economic recovery can take many forms, which is depicted using alphabetic notations. Z-shaped recovery is the most optimistic scenario in which the economy quickly rises after an economic crash. Alright. And then V-shaped recovery is the next best scenario after Z-shaped recovery, in which the economy quickly recoups lost ground and gets back to the normal growth trend line. Alright. And then what happens if we talk about U-shaped recovery? It is a scenario in which the economy, after falling, struggles around at a low growth rate for some time before actually rising to usual levels. And W-shaped recovery is a very dangerous creature in the sense that the growth falls and rises but falls again before recovery, and thus forming a W-like chart. So if we talk about the Z-shaped recovery, first we will talk about the Z-shaped recovery. So this is the GDP and that's the time. So it goes like this. Alright, this is the line. GDP grows with time. So Z-shaped recovery is GDP falling down and then rising again and then going back to normal. This is Z-shaped recovery. Then comes V-shaped recovery. After that, best scenario is that GDP here and time here. So V-shaped recovery will be like the GDP will go down and then again it will rise and get back to normal. Alright. If we talk about the U-shaped recovery, how is it? U-shaped recovery is like the GDP goes down, struggles for some time and then get back to normal. Now this is a U-shaped recovery. And if we talk about W-shaped recovery, how is that? GDP and time again. So that's your GDP. First, GDP goes down, then rises again, and then goes down. So this is a pretty dangerous scenario. That's W-shaped recovery. Alright, moving on. Let's look at the L-shaped recovery. In this, the economy falls again and it fails to regain. If we talk about L-shaped recovery, it fails to regain. The economy fails to regain the level of GDP even after years go by. And the shape shows, if we talk about the shape, there is a permanent loss to the economy. See, because of the drawing of the graph, you can already imagine how L-shaped recovery would be. It would be like this. This is the GDP and this is the time. Here comes the GDP. So it says that the GDP is going down and then constantly for some time, 3, 4, 5 years, it will remain here. Alright, so this is L-shaped recovery. Once you know the graph, once you draw the graph, you'll be easily able to answer this question. Alright, moving on. Which of the following international organizations are part of the Intergovernmental Negotiations Framework, IGN? The African Union, the Arctic Council, the Arab League, the Caribbean Community. Select the correct answer using the following codes: 1, 2 and 3 only, 2, 3 and 4 only, 1, 3 and 4 only, or 1, 2 and 4. The correct answer to this question is C, that is 1, 3 and 4 only. Moving on to the explanation, the Intergovernmental Negotiations Framework is a group of nation states working within the United Nations to further reform of the United Nations Security Council, 15-member top organ of the world body. The IGN is composed of several different international organizations, namely the African Union. Also, the G4 nations, India along with Brazil, Japan and Germany, are pressing for a permanent seat in the reformed UNSC. The Uniting for Consensus Group, also known as the Coffee Club, and the L.69 group of developing countries, the Arab League as well, and the Caribbean Community. The Arctic Council is not a part of the IGN. Each group represents a different set of position vis-a-vis reforming the United Nations Security Council. Why do we need to reform the United Nations Security Council? Because it is showing a period which is passé in nature. Now, if we talk about the members of the Security Council, there are the same members that have held a hegemony over the entire matters of United Nations since many decades, and now there is a need to reform it because it's a developing new world, it's a new world, and we need multipolarity. For multipolarity, we need to strike at the hegemony of some particular nation. That is why we need a reformed council. Because we need to strike at the hegemony, we need representation, and that is why different countries to represent and also talk about their problems in the global arena, they need a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. Alright, moving on. In 2016, an oral decision was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly which approved of a declaration known as the Elements of Convergence, which outlined the status of the consensus reached by members of the IGN at the time. Moving on to our next question. Consider the following statements with reference to quantum technology. It is based on the principles of quantum mechanics developed in the early 20th century to describe nature at the scale of atoms and elementary particles as well. Scientists have expanded quantum theory to understand biological phenomena such as smell, consciousness, amongst others. So, which of the statements given above is or are incorrect? You have to choose the statement which is incorrect in nature. 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer to this question is D, that is neither 1 nor 2. Moving on to the explanation. Quantum technology is based on the principles of quantum mechanics developed in the early 20th century to describe nature at the scale of atoms and elementary particles. Using quantum superposition, a set of unbreakable codes or super speed information processing, quantum computers are able to mimic several classical computers working in parallel. Quantum technology is manifested through applications in secure communication, disaster management, through better prediction, computing, simulation, chemistry, healthcare, cryptography, and imaging, amongst others. Scientists have expanded quantum theory to understand biological phenomena such as smell, consciousness, enzyme catalysis, photosynthesis, avian navigation like that of the robin, and origin of life and effects on coronavirus as well. Let's move on to the practice question for our next segment. Which of the following tiger reserves is located in Madhya Pradesh? Pench Tiger Reserve, Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve, Sanjay Tiger Reserve, Kamlang Tiger Reserve, Valmiki Tiger Reserve. So, select the correct answer using codes given below. 1, 2 and 3 only, 2, 3 and 4 only, 3, 4 and 5 only, 1, 2, 3 and 5 only. So, I hope you'll be able to answer it correctly in the comment segment. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.